Hello and welcome to the final installment of our quest to untangle one of the Bible's most difficult theological problems: who are the Nephilim?
By reframing the Nephilim question and examining it from another angle, we were able to sidestep a trap that has ensnared many over the centuries. The question shifts and takes on a more sinister tone. We are no longer just asking, who are the Nephilim? Now the question becomes, did fallen angels interbreed with humans? Are there human hybrids walking among us, like in the movie Twilight or the film Highlander? We know these belong to the realm of science fiction, yet many Christians, myself included at one point, believed fallen angels could marry and have relations with human women.
There is something in human nature that reacts to the idea of fallen angels having intimate contact with beautiful earthly women. We can't shake the thought so easily because something in our frail humanity wants the story to be true. It reminds me of how some people, unable to accept the idea that humans built the pyramids, turn instead to stories of aliens and UFOs.
The first thing we noticed is that God is precise and systematic in creation. There are laws. Some principles must be followed. Children are born to parents who are classified as humans, made in the image of God. Adam and Eve were marked as special. They were formed by the hands of God, animated by His breath, and made in His image. They were not just biological beings. They were spiritual image-bearers of the Creator. So, a human baby is not just the product of a man and a woman. The parents must both carry the image of God and the divine breath that gave life to Adam.
The word Nephilim comes from the Hebrew root nphl, pronounced naphal. It's easy to remember because it sounds like what it means. Naphal means to fall. It carries layered meanings that don't always work in modern English. One popular scholarly interpretation is that Nephilim means those who cause others to fall. Over the centuries, this term was misinterpreted as the fallen ones. Someone then connected it to fallen angels. The Bible never suggests that these are angels or fallen beings from heaven, yet the idea stuck.
The word Nephilim appears in the book of Numbers. In this book, Nephilim means exceptionally strong or exceptionally tall people, or giants. The 10 cowardly spies were intimidated by the Nephilim. But Caleb and Joshua had a different response. They said, "Let us go up at once and occupy it, for we are well able to overcome it." Joshua is one of the most practical strategists that you'll ever find in the Bible. If the Nephilim were supernatural hybrids, no wise and experienced leader like Joshua would ever send his people into battle against them. That's why we conclude the Nephilim were not mystical creatures or magical hybrids. They were giants, yes, but human giants.
Jesus intentionally traveled to a far-off region just to save me. I'm the one they called the Gadarene demoniac. This is what I looked like when a legion of demons lived inside me. Fallen angels, or demons, are spiritual beings. They can't physically interact with people unless they first possess or live inside a human body. That's the only way they can reveal themselves. How Jesus handled my case is a masterclass in how these beings operate. After the Lord drove them out, the spirits panicked. They needed to enter another living body, and since no other human was nearby, they went into a herd of pigs instead.
If hybrids were real, it would mess up God's whole plan to save people. Imagine immortal beings who never die and just keep rebelling like Satan did. That would mean God's judgment is ignored again and again. It would confuse the message of the Bible and ruin how redemption is supposed to work. Let's explore this idea in a cinematic way.
From the frayed pages of ancient scripture emerges a tale so profound, so captivating, it has echoed through ages. Our journey begins not just with verses, but with an intriguing intersection of realms. Buried within Genesis chapter 6, verse 4, lies the mystery of the Nephilim. It paints a vivid and fascinating picture. The sensual mingling of realms as the sons of God are drawn to the daughters of humans. This isn't mere human drama. It's a cosmic transgression, the sacred mingling with the profane, the celestial descending to the sensual. And these Sons of God? Their very presence ignites the spiritual dimension of our mystery. Are they fallen angels, celestial watchmen, or something even more enigmatic? But who are they? This question, millennia old, isn't just academic, because a misplaced understanding can subtly warp our perspective, potentially leading to anxiety or misguided beliefs. So, fellow travelers in the sacred, I invite you, challenge the assumptions and ideas in this video. Share your thoughts, raise your questions. Let us embark on a shared journey of critical thinking. To penetrate this enigma, to disentangle this Gordian knot, we must first simplify the very equation that has grown so complex. We are now looking at the outline of 4 distinct groups. First, the scripture singularly identifies the Nephilim. Beloved Bible heroes, Caleb and Joshua, saw these lumbering giants in the land of Canaan. Thus, whatever genetic information caused them to grow like trees, that anomaly swelling men to 8 or 9 feet, must have traveled aboard Noah's Ark. It was carried, perhaps, within Noah's bloodline, or carried by his in-laws, or passed down through the women who embraced their grandsons, foreign wives who came with them in the ark. Second are the enigmatic sons of God. Third, the daughters of men. Finally, the fourth group, the men of renown. Why is it that when we read this verse, we often make the mistake of equating the Nephilim with the sons of God? The root of this confusion lies in a modern misinterpretation of the word "enfile," often translated as to fall. A more accurate translation would be to cause to fall or to throw down. It implies aggression. They ruled ancient communities through the threat of violence. Their calling card was their ability to wrestle or throw down. Thus, their name implies that these men would cause others to fall. But instead of correctly interpreting their name to mean he caused someone to fall, a translation error introduced a subtle shift. They are now known as the fallen ones, and it didn't take long before the fallen ones became associated with fallen angels. So, the mistranslated fallen ones became conflated with the idea that the Nephilim were fallen angels. Thus, 2 distinct groups became one in the minds of many. But if the Nephilim were giants, then we must ask, who are these so-called sons of God? The simplest, most honest answer is, we don't know. But here's what we do know. They're not angels. To truly understand the phrase, sons of God, we must let the Bible interpret itself. We must apply its internal principles. It is a coherent narrative with a consistent internal logic. Consider one foundational principle repeated throughout Scripture, especially in Genesis, the idea that things reproduce after their kind. This is no throwaway phrase. It is a recurring and emphasized law, a biological boundary set by the Creator. A lion does not mate with a giraffe. A human cannot produce offspring with another species. This is not merely improbable. It is impossible. This divine law governs all life. The book of Hebrews is clear. Angels are spirits. They are never described as male or female, nor portrayed as physical beings capable of biological reproduction. That is simply not their design. At last, we've broken through the fog. Our vision is clear and unhindered. But with this clarity comes a new question. If these aren't angels, then who exactly are the sons of God? Thankfully, the Bible offers some compelling alternatives. Alternative 1. One plausible explanation is that the phrase refers to those with a deep connection to God. In this sense, sons of God could describe individuals who shared in God's character or maintained a close relationship with Him. Think of figures like Enoch or Noah. These were not just good men. They walked with God. Their lives were not merely moral, but spiritually exceptional, shaped by a relationship that elevated them above the rest. Finally, we must admit a humbling possibility. Perhaps sons of God is an ancient phrase whose full meaning has been lost over time. The defining terms have been obscured by distance, translation, and tradition. And so, we end not with certainty, but with humility. There are still things we do not know.
Yes, there we are. Pull. There we go.
Hope you found that enjoyable. If you'd like to see lots more videos like this, liking and subscribing is a lovely way to join our friendly community.